What will be after anarchy? As a man in the street, without any academic title that could give me the authority required to deal with certain topics, I think I can still present some considerations regarding issues that are in progress and not yet completely catalogable in the socio-scientific field. Therefore, I also invite you to take a journey into our ignorance in an attempt to understand if the rule that established the primacy of deduction and intuition over the mere formulation of hypotheses based on standardized calculation schemes still applies. Listening to the premises that the advent of artificial intelligence is proposing for our future, one must be amazed and shocked at the same time. On the one hand, we fantasize about unparalleled opportunities never achieved to date by human capabilities. On the other, dystopian scenarios are projected in which the control of our lives will be irremediably subjected to technological pervasiveness. As in all the events that have always accompanied the evolution of our species, the truth, in my opinion, lies in the middle. I venture this statement based on an observation that is inevitable due to its intrinsic obviousness. When has power that exercised by some men over the multitudes of their peers renounced control of the freedom of action of those they control? Never. And a situation of this type will never be able to occur, if not in that time frame in which an evolutionary phenomenon is not entirely manageable, because it is not yet understood in its totality. So now we find ourselves in that time frame, the open window, wide open on an infinity of good and less good opportunities that give us the feeling of living in a positive and possible anarchy. Unfortunately for us, the need for self-control inherent to every form of aggregation will soon define the boundaries beyond which it will be illicit to push, reducing the flashes and rides that amaze us today in this new playground. After all, would you leave the controls of a container crane in the hands of a child for the sole purpose of entertaining him? I really don't think so. Therefore, let's not expect to be able to have, for a long time yet, an unlimited amount of knowledge and utilities that allow us to build our own personal magnetic levitation flying saucer, possibly equipped with an atomic bomb to allow us to settle personal disputes. Could hackers succeed? A self-respecting system of power always has a poisoned morsel available for them too. At this point, only chance, determined by multiple concomitances and the structural inefficiency of the system, could allow this unscheduled event. Back to us, we live this revolution with the awareness of those who know that there is always something capable of shattering our certainties, even those founded on solid mathematical rules. Let's call it the entropy of equilibrium, not that of thermodynamics, but that which changes the consolidated appearance of reality into unpredictable becoming. A becoming liquid like quicksand that, by its nature, highlights the limits of our physical capabilities, putting to the test, more than the muscles, the mind that will have to elaborate the correct strategy to avoid sinking. With a premise of this type, here is that the need to contain technological power in favor of human power becomes a priority to safeguard decision-making supremacy. So, will the technological future reserve us great autonomy of management and personal operation? No. The future will reintroduce the rule that has always allowed only a few to have ample room for maneuver in the technological field, effectively constituting a technocracy that must strive to maintain a delicate balance, always ready to explode under the pressure of emerging forces that have grown within it. Secondly, we cannot ignore the risk based on the assumption that, not having a conscience of their own, the skills of artificial intelligence are structured according to a misleading direction defined by those who control them. We should not be surprised if all this excitement will soon end up condensing into an avalanche of new and more performing applications aimed only at facilitating operations that until now required, in addition to physical effort, also and above all, a conceptual approach. We should not be surprised either if we were to arrive at a socio-cultural classification based on the degree of interaction of the human subject with the field technological, a boundary not yet defined, but very close to the implementation of the cyber citizen. To conclude, we must agree that the information and rules that constitute a conceptual structure cannot be placed in a random order within the scheme that determines its essentiality. A concept takes on value only if there are the presuppositions of cause and effect that certify its truthfulness. Otherwise, we can limit ourselves to defining it as a flight of fancy, an abstraction somewhat similar to a somersault that has nothing to do with the sense of walking. Soon the exciting anarchy will subside within a habit that will make us increasingly dependent on the lexical needs of an exomorphic language, external, outside the recognized one, starting that slow transformation that our mind, despite everything, will never be in a position to fully imagine.